human rights because bijiddemu okutaasa ensi bwe ziti eziri mu buvuyo bwe butyo ne justice bagala justice nga injustice etuuse ku bo ensi ezifunye injustice tebali standinga nazo kuziyamba so bandigambye nti kale tewali nkolagana na America ne Iran nti kale tugende mu kooti oba ndivudde mu kooti nga guganye waki ne bagamba tulina human rights oba tulese UN amagye g'ensi yonna ne bateesa ne bagamba kale biganye mudde ku battlefield n'essaawa zino oba decidinga nga bo omuntu wasuka ku makya n'ekirooto kye nga dictator wabeera n'agamba kati bano betukuba out of blue.
Okay.
Tebajja evidence.
Ajima, hold it there. And Edric Kawaga, how was it?
Honorable osabudde abakazi.
Wanji yogera nnyo.
Osabudde abakazi honorable. Batandise okugwa omu ku omu naye. Ekikulu balaba Lujazera bwe buzibu balaba Lujazera. Olaba eno mu America, Canada. Basiba kwa Lujazera buli wokyusa Lujazera. Nze ndi Canada naye okulaba ku mawulire amalala ssebo. Oganoonya. Ewe babeerako kati obwongo bulinga obwabaki.
Nedda bano babadde mu kakakuuni kamu kuba n'oli omusajja omulala azze yeesimbyewo ku bwa gavana bwa California. Balabye nga balina okumunyigiriza.
Anti babadde bamulwana.
Ekimuyambye nti mbaddeko kati simanyi bwe muleseeko obw'omu ki kye bamukola.
Gwamutaasizzaamu naye abadde tabasobola. Babadde bangi nga ate badropinga nga bayitayo abalala.
Kuba hosti abadde waabwe.
Bamaze ne batublokinga ffenna bannaYuganda.
Abafirika mwena baba blokinze.
Nange bamblokinze. Batublokinze abaddugavu ffenna ngenza okebera ku mukwano gwaye naye nga ngamba naye bamublokinze.
Bagambye Afrika ebalumbye ndowooza mukirabye amaanyi g'okumanya abazungu abo batiira ddala okubalaga nti akatulire perfect technology naye agaba mu blokinze perfect technology.
Honorable salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Ntidde nnyo kyensanze leero abantu betusinga okwegomba nga nabo okutegeera tebamanyi n'okumanya.
Nnyo nange nkirabye.
Yes.
Ovuddewo omusajja oyagala oba gavana ba California n'abagamba mwe mulowooza buli muntu atagenda kubabulira bye mwagala kuwulira mugenda mu droppinga ko host n'amugamba sebo yogera ensonga yo toolerezo n'agamba omusajja mmugyeko lwakuba aba outsmartings kati abadde ayogera omukazi n'amugamba naye byeyogera nga tubitegera n'amugamba tobitegera lwa nsonga si byoyagala okuwulira omusajja abadde wano nga muddugavu ne mumudropinga olw'okuba mulowooza muli bangi wano mujja kwefuga buli kimu kati mbadde ni mukutayipinga ngenza okulaba ekibuloka nga kindya naye kisinza okuneewuunyisa ku platform eyo abazungu banaye tebali wero informed oli akubuuzizza ekibuuzo ekisinze n'okumalamu amaanyi mbu omuddugavu odisikasinga otya ebintu by'abazungu kati ze wano nempandika ne mubuuza gw'odisikasinga otya ebintu bya Afrika gy'otali kati n'obeerawo omusajja mu komenti awandise n'agamba ne lwaki onalebu temuleka n'ayogera oyo ngenza okulaasi kyamulaba ne ngamba wano kati eno live etabuse
kakati kye bakoze wabaddewo omusajja w'e New York omuzungu munnaabwe yagambye this man from Africa is too smart compared to everyone here, is too intelligent compared. Kati akakazi kali ne kafuuka offended. Kakati kwe komawo ne kaga no ensi yabwe yafugibwako ne Idi Amin.
Ekyo nakyo kiwuli. Ali mu kujuliza musimanyi clean your own backyard kati no wansife nga tumubuuza lwaki nammwe mu America abaddugavu nga bafa kiro na misana gun control guni mu bituusiza abantu okubanga battibwa ekiro n'emisana kwegamba yayagala alagensi ekifaananyi ekirungi ebweru nenga mugana ekiri ekifu
Yoruba demon what happened?
I was there.
Yes.
I was the treatment that these guys, showed to you. Just because you had divergent views from them, and the guy just removes you from the live that was so childish. Man, these guys were fake. Yeah, but you you really schooled them. You took them to school.
Thank you.
Yeah, clear. They were so emotional. Instead of, debating facts and getting information, they were just emotional, especially the women.
Yeah, and Yoruba, you remember when I told them about, she said they kill every Christian in Iran and every Jew. They unalive them.
Yeah.
And then I told her, hold a second, open your Google. There are 300 to 700 churches in Iran.
Yes.
And you have 1 to 3 million Christians living in Iran and practicing their religion. She was extremely shocked. Kati eyo shoke muyisemu nga tamanyi nti waliyo ne synagogues, Jewish worship centers in Iran, and that Iran has one of the biggest population of Jews outside, I think, Morocco and Israel.
Yes.
She was extremely shocked. So she thought bweri narrative gye bavugira ku butebe agenza okugamba nti naye nammwe gye muva kati agambye nti of course wayinza okubaawo challenges ne Trump yagamba baamubba kati ekyo kibaluma buli bw'obagamba kuba Trump yagamba nti eyo waliyo obubbi bw'obululu. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then n'amala n'agamba, but you have Somalia next to you. Nemuga, yes, the Ugandan troops contributed in the contingent that pacified Somalia, where the American troops failed on the ground. Nagamba, naerabira okusoma nti Somalia is 99.9999% Muslim. Oyinza okulwawo okusangayo Omusomali. No! The issue was between extremist Islam Netali eyaba Al-Shabaab.
Yes.
The terrorism. Remember, in her mind, Boba Jamutekamu kiri kigamba nti
yalowooza terrorism ng'ekolebwa Abasomali oba gundi a staunch Muslim, yalowooza it's always has to be against Christians. Yet it's actually not the case.
Abadde ayagala gamba Nigeria naye ne kimukwatira mu Somalia. Mu Nigeria ye wali obuzibu ku churches. Acting.
Honorable, I have a simple question here.
Honorable. Yes, perfect.
It seems in those abantu okubanga babawadde information eri somehow filtered. Chine engeri gye affecting amwense.
Yes. Yes.
And in a very bad way. So as in you like leaders between now chine chintu mugenda ku manuvaringa muti okulaba nti abantu basobola ofuna at least the exact information kuba mbazungu nayo ndabe nga ababisi bangi ate nekirala honorable nkiwandooza kavizo oyinza okukafiirwa
ekyo si kifaako nnyo because kakati nze asomera mubazungu
naye perfect ne honorable
Linda katono acting oba ogenda kuwundaga kyekipya because at the end of the day central spending azizo already kati bagamba leeta omusingo gwa $1.5 kakati bwebanga si business yentutteyo kyekinteesa $1.5 ogwa dola onaabeere nagwo meezi ena nga gusobola okugulamu ettaka n'enditunda enkya $1,000,000 kati awo nawo nze ndowooza kubanga sitambula economy. Business class ticket gy'ogenda okutambuza ngamba mu ngendo empanvu mu ngendo ennyimpi njirinyira ddala bulungi nnyo Entebbe Nairobi why not ngendera ddala bulungi nnyo mu economy naye mu luwanvu nnyo olwo ogenda kuspendinga sente mmeka minimum ku ticket $15,000 ze $18,000,000 unless it's a burning business, and if it is business omumeri kataliiko ebyo ne bw'oba wamuwakanyiza ggulo naye nga kati mukola bya busuubuzi biba byanjawulo. So for me I think the issue here is not saying tosobola traveling again, then what? That's not as expensive as abana bebakubyemu bomb. Kids, 176. Okay, yes, I'll stay in Uganda. Kubanga era ne Mungu bwanzijulula, where do I want to live? I want to be buried in Uganda. So ultimately, we as Africans, we must understand that we must make our country better. Of course, China, I would be so sad, by the way, China, if China declined to say come, those nafuna motivate, what are you? But njagala genda for some factory or something, some machines njagala okujjayo ezikola zino zebayita wet wipes. I think the future is going to be that every home, every woman, every man will have wet wipes in future. Zijja kufukanga toilet paper. Ngebeera mbuli maka. So I want to look at that machine as a big investment. Try to market Eastern Central Africa. We have a big market. For me, I know whether you love them or you don't love them, what they need from you is your money. If you don't have money, they don't need you. And that one we must understand as Africans. Era singa nzizeko konembaga, you know what, guys? I'm a billionaire. Oh yeah, your points are right. Okitegera kye gamba. Naye goloza Arab Sheikh oyo bamwagala lwakuba democracy. Sente ze era sente bwe zimwawukanako omuwarabu we Saudi bwati bajja kuba oyo. That is it.
Pozi nekira kyokonyeko nti olutalo luno lugenda ku affectinga katutunulye ku side ya USA economically lugenda ba affectinga lutya kubanga bwe mbadde nkolayo research entonotono kindaze nti most of businesses ez'abazungu esinga ziri awo Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely. Katika nkubulire, the businesses zoraba. USA is not exporting a lot. It's exporting technology and exporting arms. So these are the two things it's selling. And selling the dollar as a reserve currency. Mbulirayo major export, of course, ina soya bean, nebirala. Negwe George Manyiddeko ng'oggyeko technology patents. It's selling knowledge, education, okuva mu Harvard, MIT, nebirala. Medical research, nebirala. So at the end of the day, bw'ogijjako production cycle nga China kyeri mukola. It sent its students there. Amagezi bagabajjeko. They are tapping on their lecturers at the moment. Chinese universities are offering MIT lecturers $1 million per month. Bali mbasayininga nga bazanyi ba mpira. I want you to understand. Nti oli okugamba nti no, you don't need to come to China. Tusomese ng'oli eyo. Abaana ne babateeka mu class ene China. Naye nga abasomesa lecturer wa mu MIT. Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So ebintu bingi nnyo. What I would like to tell you is that America at the moment needs Africa more than Africa needs it. Kubanga eyagala data ono. The machine that drives Twitter artificial intelligence today, ye data game mafuta, it's the new gold of the world. That is why I was going to laugh at that American lady to tell her, wait a second. Do you know that Uganda has just signed a deal with the US to access all our medical data?
Is it
Meaning, yes. For just an exchange of $1 billion, over $1 billion. Do you know what that means?
No.
Nti bw'onogenda ne bwe baba bakujjanjabye nga bakwata byonna bye bakudiagnosinzeeko nga babiweereza Abamerika okukolerako research.
Mu bufunze tufuuse laboratory.
Exactly. Your data teyeetaaga kutunulira blood sample yo. Naye olutunulira nti bwe bakebedde wabadde ne H. pylori wabadde ne kino kitegeeza America eyagala kudominatinga research in pharmaceuticals. mu nsi yonna. Kakati esobola okumanya nti in future mu bannayuganda mugenda kubeera mu cancer cases bweziti, diabetic cases bweziti. Ekyo ne kinspiringa companies zaabwe through retrieving that medical data ne zibeera ahead of you. Kati gw'okutte data wo gwewandikozesezza for research omuwadde bali kati bo bwe bakuŋŋaanya data w'ensi enjavu zonna kitegeeza bagenda ku developinga generics akatale bakakuggyeko bakajje ne ku nsi eri endala. Kati gw'olabanga abakuwadde obuyambi kumpe data gwe batutte alimu obuwumbi bwa $100.
So what next now for Ugandans? Because ku live eyo mbadde mu comment section.
Perfect. Ondabye lwaki ebimu nsitiyalingawe. What is next for Uganda? Uganda is between a rock and a hard stone. Obusente mubwetaaga ate ne data mumwetaaga. So what do you keep at the moment? Kyekiri kyembagambye nti America tejjangako ku exportinga democracy mu nsi zino. Ejja kupikinga interests zaayo for as long as you can service its interests. It's not interested on how you treat your people. Kyovola ba kyekiri kye mbagambye ku Venezuela nti yajjako Maduro yazzaako opposition.
Ensi eri awo eri
yazaako buzza vice wa Maduro pa ng'egamba fatuwadde bye twagala. For as long as bo bawa bye baagala, they are less interested in how you manage your affairs in your society. Trump yakiddamu n'akyogera. Kakati buli bwe mbadde mbakuba mbagamba, but Trump said Venezuela's oil is now in our control. It's our oil. Any oil and resources in the northern hemisphere, our hemisphere must be under our control. Kyovola banti olw'okuba ne Cuba eyina frontage ya oil ku coast yeyo bayina ogikuba n'ekolapsinga.
Okay. So honorable kati since oli party president
ashide quality naye kasita abaddeyo kasita be ba America simanyi oba naye bamugyeyo kuba mudduka.
abazungu batya nnyo abadduka
Wa alaikum salaam. Omuzungu atya nnyo ffe twali tusoma nabo bw'obasinga mu kirasi amyuka n'okumyuka n'agamba naye gwe kijja kitya nti wafunye 9 amanyi omuddugavu olina kufunaaga 3.
Abasajja balagiddeyo mbu ba racist mukati mufirika abeera ntya nga atuteeseza. Ne honorable Obakuba equalizer. You know, even last time I was on the same live, you were arguing with the same people.
Naye badduka kwolwo naye leero balayika babadde bayungudde kubanga balayika banneetegekedde kati ekisajja kiri kimpereza inbox nti owaaye sooka ojje live yange tetambula nga baliko 30 kati bwenzize neesituka ndowooza ba Republican bali eyo bekubira amasimu.
Oli omusajja yasigadde yekka bamma mutute batya nze mmulese.
Obaleseeko baliko bameka?
Baddeko bonna oli gwe batwala oli otam kati.
Ngamba naye ng'abaliko live abalaba.
Babadde bakendedde.
Bakendedde.
Naffe bakumyutinze nga tusaa commentinga.
Babulokinze abantu bangi.
Bakumyutinze olw'okuba oli muddugavu.
Fenna.
Comment yonna eri negative wali obadde ofunyawo block.
Wangi?
Mbadde commentinga ngenza okulaba hano ngamba kati wano kaweddemu.
Batujjeeko comment.
Bagambye mbu omufirika oyogera otya ku bya America n'engamba tiraba. Omufirika ayogera atya ku nsi yaffe.
Singa obadde oyogera ng'owaana bo bagambye ekituufu n'Afrika eraba naye bagenza okulaba ng'oba outreasoning omulinda n'ayogera n'omukuba point nga ya facts.
Oli omuwala tasaana kukola debate ennungi atandise ate kuleeta ebya Idi Amin dada olaba.
Tamanyi nti n'oyita bannayuganda n'obabuuza Idi Amin akomewo yeekanga vote Idi Amin zaafuna.
Okitegedde. Naye nga honorable olunota olugenda kuggwa ddi?
olutalo lugenda kuggwa very soon, and the reason is that America cannot sustain this war for so long. Bano bali mu kubuuza which page bagiyita ya bamuyita
Patriot USA.
Patriot USA.
Omanye Honorable rero bakubye airport era bannange.
Airport yawe ya Dubai. Oh, sorry. And really, nze mubisinza okunduma nti the far-reaching effect egenda kugwa ku Middle East countries. And the reason is very simple, is that you would forgive them. They are sovereign countries hosting bases that are attacking Iran, that are being used to attack Iran. And Iran's natural response would say, I have to stop these people in one way or the other. But now that disrupts their brotherly neighbors. I mean, it's very terrible. And I think for me, Iran in this is doing it for one reason, to mount pressure on the US, because it's US interests that are being destroyed. They run tech companies, they use it for tourism as a hub, like the UAE, shipping of oil, because most of the oil they have bought and they have companies they are producing, Chevron, etc. In Iraq, Kurdistan, Nadaleyo, Ibil province, Waguru. So you realize that the more this goes on, plus the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, now the US is already, for the first time in the history of the world, it's the US that is calling for support from other countries. Muje munyambe to Global Strait of Hormuz. So,
Kati, Honorable.
It was saying we are winning the war, but now it wants to bring everyone on board and say, let's come. But you will not open the Strait of Hormuz by bombing Iran.
Kati, Honorable, you itasobola kugamba mbu tufe mutuje mu bintu byammwe.
Tesobola, because you see it has an agreement of protection from the United States. So that's why it hosts the bases. And remember, it would also claim and say, listen, I'm UAE, I'm an independent nation. So whosoever I host, toina kumbulira ani gwe hosting. Just like the UAE cannot tell maybe Iran that you cannot host Russian. But if Russians are shooting from Iranian soil to the UAE would definitely respond, because it cannot target Russia. It would respond from where the threat is coming. So it is an egg and chicken situation. And for me, what I think in this, olutalo lugenda kugwa in a matter of weeks. Why? It is not involving boots on the ground, teruli kutaka. And what that means is that it is extremely expensive to fly missiles and fly planes and refuel them. The cost is extremely high, and having the Gulf countries being at a standstill, mainly the GCC. But let's talk about Oman, Qatar, and probably Saudi Arabia. Though Saudi Arabia is active, Kuwait, Bahrain, being on a standstill for a month, those are billions of dollars. And billions of dollars going to who? Because remember, Trump's first visit was in the Middle East, was to sign deals for investment in arms companies. Therefore, let me give you one theory one guy was talking about. Why did Israel and the US go for this war? And you can think about it, might be right or wrong. Abawarabu, these Arabs had taken long without paying up the money they said they would invest in the US. And they were slowly trying to drift away to trading directly with China. And also Saudi Arabia had been invited in the BRICS. Therefore, what was bound to happen, that this war has a lot of geopolitics. One, it's going to weaken the GCC. And when the GCC weakens, it will definitely fall back to America as its natural protector. It's going to be forced to sell oil at a cheap price, or even all its profits to be reinvested in armament. There's going to be an arms race. Talking missiles, talking interceptors, talking drones. So the business that is going to be in the Gulf is not going to be about construction now. It's going to be about rearmament. oba okitegedde Ashley kati
Nkitegedde.
byakulwanisa. Now that means the speed at which they have been developing the grand project in Saudi Arabia, etc., is going to slow down in favor of reinvesting in American arms companies. So there's going to be a diversification. And that is also why you don't want, Iran doesn't want the war to end very fast. For example, the biggest trade unit that is going to be there is going to be two. One, Shahid drones. Every country is going to try to acquire the technology in order to fight remotely using drones, but also the Iranian missiles. But it is two-way. Also the air defense. Kuba air defense ya Iran, ya failings. That means the Russian air defense system is not good. And the Chinese air defense system is rubbish. Because twice it has been hit in Iran. That shows the air defense, unless Iran comes up with something spectacular in future, who has the upper hand? Who has the upper hand on the air defense? That is the United States. Because it's three shield. It has the Patriot, it has the THAAD, and etc. But who has the upper hand on missiles? Now it is Iran. So there are two winners in this race. Iran and Israel. Israel being a power broker in the region and a frontman of the USA in arms trade. So every country is going to run to the USA to ask for what we call air defense systems. This is going to be the issue. The second country that will come out victorious in arms trade is going to be the UAE. Because in as much as the UAE has been hit by many missiles, it has intercepted, we can say 90%. 90% or 85%. Meaning the air defense is good, air defense. Katitegeza, all this, where does it take us? To an arms race. For all of you who studied about the Cold War and the beginning of World War II, there was an emergence of the arms race. Who would beat the other to the hydrogen bomb and the nuclear bomb? And what sealed the deal of the World War was the attack on Nagasaki and Hiroshima with nuclear. Then victory was announced. They could not fight anymore. One single bomb could wipe out 1 million people at a go. What is governing the world today? It's nuclear. Those that are nuclear powers are the ones that sit on the Security Council. Because when you have nuclear, then you become a nuclear weapon. Then you become, you have a deterrent. No one can attack you. That's why North Korea is immune, because it has nuclear. And Iran now has tested it twice. It will now understand that the only deterrence that we have is having nuclear weapon. So this war is going to only increase the desire for countries and the thirst for them to amass and acquire nuclear weapon as a symbol of independence. Kubata Gina, you're just rubbish.
Honorable, at any point do you see UAE okuweereza?
UAE can't fight.
Kubanga bagambye mbu yesterday mbu baweereza.
Tebasobola nedda kati what happens?
Omanyi lwaki njogera Oluganda?
Nedda nkimanyi UAE basinzidde kiteeberezebwa actually nti rockets ezakubye Kaga Island mu Iran zaavudde awo naye nga z'Amerika si UAE. Therefore, the UAE as a government is not actually, to be honest, participating in the fight. It is the Americans that it cannot hand twist. Remember, it has an agreement as a sovereign nation. Okubeera n'Amerika having the bases in their own country. So what will it do? It has them, it has them. That is why the best way out of this was diplomacy.
Honorable. Now, back to Africa. I heard in America abajasa bali mu base wane Djibouti babagamba betegulemu abamu ne bajja e Kampala abalala ne bagenda e
tondeetera bizibu eyo intelligence sigiyinaako kati nkugaye nti bazza Uganda ate bakuba emizaire e Uganda omusajja yagambye dda nti buli we banaalaga bajja kuba legitimate target kale ateze nkugaye nti bazze ku Serena. Let me call you back, please. That would be responsible from me. I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
So, abali mu UAE era mugumire eyo. UAE tegenda luno olutalo lugenda kuggwa. And my prediction is that this war will end in about 2 weeks to come. There will be an agreement. I think France and Turkey plus Russia will come up with something. But the issue is that Russia still wants to profit because it had sanctions on its oil. So the more there is a disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, definitely it's Russia benefiting. It will sell to Japan, it will sell to India, and it will beat around the American sanctions and amass some few dollars because now it's pulling the strings. And it's pulling the strings at the time when the price of a barrel is over $100 for Brent crude, you know? So kitegeeza agenda okufunamu muno ayagala olutalo luno luwanvuwe would be Russia. It is in the interest of Russia having this war go on for long and long because it's Russia benefiting 100%. It has been on the back foot. It dragged itself into a war that it thought it would win overnight in Ukraine. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, what is happening? It also wants to America to drag itself into a war that will drag on for long. And at the end of the day, attention will be diverted from arming Ukraine to America arming its own self. So Ukraine will definitely run out of weapons because in as much as the Europeans pay the bill, America manufactures the weapons. So that's why you had President Trump saying all our best weapons were given to Ukraine, and we have, yes, a lot, but so that shows there's a shortage somewhere. I don't think they can carry on protecting all these bases. What these guys are trying to do is to stretch it as much as possible. The Iranians are smart in what we call asymmetrical warfare. Asymmetrical warfare, directly, but you spread your tentacles. And the Iranians have proven that they can do that. Their proxies in Iran, I mean in Lebanon, Hezbollah, are engaging Israel. So Israel is now fighting on two fronts, fighting in Lebanon and fighting in Iran. Israel is doing less bombings in Iran now because it's also preoccupied in Lebanon. You understand now the dynamics of the war? That is why America was also trying to press a smart move of saying, let's get the cards, engage the IRGC by Tekutaka. Because if you don't engage them, you remain the only target. And for them, they are proxies like, militias in Iraq are hammering you in Ibil, in the Kurdistan region. Kakati, America bweyagambe egenda kuweereza abakadi. Immediately, the Iranians took to another front by starting to attack the Kurdish in Kurdistan and destroying oil fields and hitting consulates in Ibil, so that they distract the Kurds from arming and getting a consolidated front to attack them. So at the end of the day, Iran, instead of nuclear, had come up with what we call deterrent militias. So there were those Shia deterrent militias in Iraq, and they are fighting ferociously. They attacked the US embassy in Baghdad. They did to the US consulate. They have been bombing oil fields. They destroyed the oil tankers that were shipping American oil. This is basically American oil infrastructure. Listen, guys, every ship liner they hit with oil is worth millions of dollars. So you have over 1,000 ships that are stuck just in the Strait of Hormuz. Total barrels, as it is stuck, 200 million barrels of oil. You can calculate. 200 million barrels of oil times $100 per barrel. Omwo mulimu sente mmeka? So a mere bombing campaign cannot bring regime change, I can tell you. Because how many buildings can you bomb anyway? Iran has over 300,000 buildings. You understand?
Honorable, you spoke about protection, eh? So, kati losses UAE is carrying America against this Sudan.
No, listen. Normally, what America does, I hope people have to understand. War is a business. War is used as an economic tool. It is two-way, and I'll show you how it's a business. One, it comes and bombs you, takes your resources like oil, meaning those that support war run the infrastructure of war, which is arms manufacturing. And who is the biggest arms manufacturer in the world? It is Russia, America, and China. So the USA is number one. So they need to finance these factories that manufacture arms so that they provide jobs for these people of theirs that have to work in the arms factories. I want to show you how war is a business. That's why every 5 years, America has to bomb, whether you have a Democrat president or Republican president. Because during their rounds of campaigns, they are financed by these companies. They are direct contributors. So for as long as these companies finance you, they'll create all forms of intelligence that justifies you to bomb somewhere. Because it's only in military operations where you do not have a justification of budgeting. Oba mukitegedde, hope you understand it well. Everything is classified. Someone can say we bought that intelligence for $5 million. You won't question them. You don't audit that. So at the end of the day, it's a business. We get the American taxpayer or whatever money that we have. We bomb you. After bombing you, like in Iraq, we take over your oil. When we take over your oil, we sell it back to ourselves at a cheap price, and we use part of the money that is meant to build your country to bring in contractors in form of our companies to rebuild you. Oba mukitegedde. Kati American company makes a missile that bombs you. American company takes over your oil and resources. American company comes to rebuild your country.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that is the matrix of war. War is business.
So, Honorable,
Yes.
in terms of supremacy, kino kirekawa Russia and China zina emerginga sometime in the near future to come nga zi superpower oba kikyali?
For Russia, it's over. Russia will no longer be a superpower. I can tell you. Russia only has deterrence, and the reason is it lost the will to fight. The Russians lost the will to fight. They are moving more toward modernization. There is nothing that brings Russians together. I think that has been witnessed to an extent that for Russia to try and overcome Ukraine, it has to hire mercenaries from Africa because its people are not willing to fight an endless war. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now that you understand that, what is in for China? Now, Russia is split between the rock and the hard stone. Actually, Russia wants to be a friend to China, but it doesn't want China to dominate it. Russia still believes in its past hegemony and dominance, which was wiped away by the collapse of its economy and the breakdown of the Soviet Union, because nothing did bind it. In order to break up the Soviet Union as a bloc, remember it had many countries in the Balkans, Zemulira, Serbia, all Slavs were part of Russia, but they broke away. So it lost a big population, it lost a big market, and those countries joined NATO and the EU. So Russia lost actually so much than it has today. But it kept resources. Now, China has exercised what they call strategic patience. China does not interrupt its enemies when they are making mistakes. It will leave you to make your own mistakes and embroid yourself in wars. So China, what China is doing is to leave America, burn its fingers all over the world, so that there is what we call this negativity about the United States. Because if the world sees you as a warmonger, your alliances are breaking down. Like, I'll give you an example. The American alliances are breaking down. For its attack on Iran, it did not have Europe. It did not have NATO. And America has been attacked. Remember, the rule for America is an attack under NATO on one of us is an attack on all of us. NATO members have not responded. So China is exercising what we call restraint. Because if it engages in that war directly, the NATO allies will come together. Is it ready to fight a direct war with the US? Not yet. But the best thing it's using is send all your forms of weapons and test them in these wars. I can give you an example. During the Russia-Ukraine war, China has also been supplying some arms to Ukraine, but more arms to Russia to test its waters, because China has a bigger battle of Taiwan. Who is the protector of Taiwan?
USA.
USA. Therefore, what does China want to do at the moment? Exercise restraint, let the USA burn out, and as it burns out on its weaponry, China shares a border, I think, with Iran and near Afghanistan. It will definitely have access to that missile technology and improve it and even make it much better. It's building warships. It is taking its time. It has nuclear. And I can tell you, China might take over Taiwan without shooting a single bullet, but surrounding it. And by that time, the US will be weak, because it will have engaged in itself in very many wars.
So by the US engaging in very many wars, it actually affects them a lot.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Global ratings, countries retreat from you. They prefer working with peaceful partners. Listen, USA slapped taxes and visa restrictions on African countries. What did China respond with? It removed all taxes from imports from Africa.
Yeah.
In as much as most of its imports are actually done by Chinese companies exporting raw materials to China. But it opens up a window where Africans believe, you know what? We can trade with China. The same is going to happen to Latin America. So as you slap taxes on other countries, let's say the USA, I can tell you, as night follows day, there are more taxes that are going to be, China will do the opposite. Try to relax the taxes. And what will it do? It will boost trade, it will boost alliances, it will now boost what we call military cooperation. By the time China comes up, which will be in about, because their strategic plan is about 50 years from now, maybe we might not all be there, it will have total dominance. Because the first thing it did, have a total control over your population, politically. So it has a robust political system that checks on how a leader grows from one stage to another. It's not a country where you can rise up from chairman LC1 or a chairman of a ward and just declare yourself. No, I'll become an MP. You have to take stages. So there is no young MP basically in China. In China, to sit in their communist, council, whatever it is, you have to be over, I think, 50, because you must rise up from the yard ranks of a youth leader, lead a county, lead a sub-county, lead a commune, whatever it is, until you rise up to the highest of echelon. That is why they vet and sieve leaders. So if you control the politics and how leaders rise, then you control the narrative of what is put forward. You're thinking in the same way, in a symmetrical way. You're thinking in the same way, and they are all aligned. Same policy, industrialization. This is what is there for them. I can
According
see
to the
many
points
people.
you've given to me, in the near future, we might see China as a superpower.
Yeah. What did you say?
According to the points you've given to me right now, I see China rising up as a superpower above the US and Russia.
I don't know. None of us is too tall. You take her. Have. Go out. None of us is too tall to tell what is coming in the future. It will take long, but the only thing that can break America's back will be the loss of the dominancy from the petrodollar. If America loses the energy war, then it will have lost its grip on being a superpower. It will decline. And that's how Britain lost it. It lost its control over resources, and the British pound under the British Empire completely collapsed, because remember, by that time, World War, you had British Petroleum controlling all fields in the Middle East and etc. And that's how it became bankrupt. So in one way or another, Trump is doing it without telling it to the world, that I understand the threat to us is not actually Iran, but the threat to us is actually China getting cheap oil from these countries, and these countries not willing to fall under our armpits. And let me tell you one thing. If the Ayatollah woke up in the morning and said, we are going to sell all our oil to the United States, would he be attacked?
No.
It's just common sense. That's it. They would even let him own as many missiles as he wants, for as long as he would say, all our oil belongs to you, and China won't get it.
So
unfortunately, what we are seeing is that
for Israel,
I've shown you Venezuela, Iraq, Libya, Venezuela, Syria, Iran, oil. Then the Middle East that has the defensive pact, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain,
Saudi
Arabia, UAE, oil.
Oman.
So control their whole entire infrastructure of oil, and then China will bend to you. You'll pull the strings, because China will be forced to trade using the dollar, not the yuan. You understand?
Yeah.
And you remember when President Trump came in this time, he said, I'm going to break the back of the BRICS. He has done exactly that by creating mistrust through penetrating India. The Indian Prime Minister, you've seen what he has done. He's actually disintegrated the BRICS with no minute. He allowed a trade deal with the US to an extent now that it's the US that must tell him, fine, you can go and buy Russian oil. That is it.
So, Honorable, now what is the fate for Israel?
Yeah.
How do you see the future
of Israel? Listen, Israel, for as long as it still controls the politics in America, is still going to be strong. And every single year, Israel will be attacking one of its neighbors. You can accept it or not. I said this last year, after the incursion with Iran, I said, don't be fooled. This war is not over. It's going to rehappen. After Iran, it will be Israel versus Turkey. Mark my word. It will be Israel versus Turkey after Iran. So it's within the interest of Turkey for Iran not to fall, so that the focus still remains on Iran and not Turkey.
So Turkey has to do everything to maintain this war.
Yes, because in order to encircle and spy on Iran, Israel had to go through a country called Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So to create enemy neighbors around Iran. Did you see the movement by the Taliban from Afghanistan to go directly and create an alliance with India? Unprecedented. The so-called Talibans who do not believe in polytheism, shirk and what, were in India. And what happened? Immediately Pakistan attacked Afghanistan. So your Israel, you must understand it. It must make sure that for its own survival, neighbors must not be talking. Can I repeat? For Israel to survive, the neighbors must not be talking. You know that funny person.
This what?
Yes, UAE will be in conflict with Saudi before you know about Sudan and Yemen. I can tell you who is the sponsor of this. Abagabira olugambo bonna.
Mossad.
So Israel's survival and strength depends on weakening its Arab neighbors.
So
and for sure,
in simple terms, Iran wants to also be a dominant figure in the Middle East.
It is. It doesn't just want to be. It is. It's the only country that has stood up, basically for Palestine, for the Palestinian cause, and stood up against Israel and USA. You just tell me any one country in the world, other than Russia, China, etc., even in Europe, that could be attacked by two powers, Israel and USA, and even survive for 5 days. Name it. There you go. So the survival of Iran's regime will prove that the Iranians are strong, and those who thought demonstrators will come to the streets, unfortunately, Tebabade, they are not there.
But I just want to thank the Iranians because they are a much bit united population. Because when Trump attacked, he said he thought that these people would rise up, then they will take over the government.
It would be very difficult. And every one of us has seen this, that it would be a very difficult move. It's clear for all of us to see anyway. And I think the President Trump we've seen, we cannot say we know because none of us knows him very well than his people. We'll call for victory soon and say we've hit our targets because war means target. We've taken out the leadership. It's not as strong as it was. We've weakened the regime. We've hit their installations. We've hit nearly all their military capability. I think the only negotiation point that is remaining shall be the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which will come up finally, and when it's done, the
war will be over.
Yes.
So the Strait of Hormuz is now the leverage that Iran has.
Yes, and the moment it opens it up, it will mean it has stopped attacking the neighbors and letting global trade flow. I think it's a growing concern for everyone, but that's the leverage. It's fighting for its survival. And it's so clear that no one can come from outside and overthrow the Iranian regime. And it was also very clear that the US admitted to saying it was looking out towards sponsoring rebels from Kurdistan, the Kurds, to come and destabilize Iran. So who knows whether the demonstrations were also sponsored and part of the Kurdish community used as spies in that, in that whole aspect. So it's finally coming out that probably you saw how someone was saying those that demonstrated in support of the regime during the recent Fridays were paid. It's absolutely nonsense because These are guys, even when they bombed, they did not move away. So these are people that bound by conviction and religious beliefs, you can see. And this is something that other people fail to understand, that spirituality and religion, if embedded in people, they can resist anything.
So, Honorable, as I wind up, because I just want to go somewhere, how would you rate this IRGC?
As what?
In terms of the tactics, compared to other military stuff like that.
Okay, now, the IRGC, compared to other military outfits, the difference between them and others is that, one, they were very prepared. Two, they are bound by spirituality. Now, listen, to fight someone whose ultimate goal is to die, then you're a loser, not to survive. And this is what Americans should think out loud. For someone to say that when I enter this battle and I die, it's the best wish that I have, then you're not fighting a war. You're fighting someone you will not understand. The belief in martyrdom is something these guys ought to understand, that it's not something easy for someone to come to your face and tell you, assuming you are going to enter a ring and fight, but then someone tells you, when you kill me, I'll even feel happier than you leaving me alive. Then what do you expect?
The IRGC, they are not there to win.
No, they are there to win. But the best for them in their victory is actually death. You understand what I'm saying? Because the principle of martyrdom that roots up from Imam Ali after the death of the Prophet. Do you know why they chest thumb? Is that we don't have fear for death. That's up to you. Yes, we might be worried about dying, they say, but they don't have fear for death. Now, you're bringing a soldier that goes to the battlefront holding pictures of their children and saying, oh my God, I don't know whether I'll come back alive, hugging the dogs and everything. That one can't win a war. And that's why the war against the Taliban was unwinnable. You can have the clock, but they'll own the time.
Yes.
Go on for as long as you want. Their land is mountainous. They can survive anywhere. They don't work under hefty pay. Have you ever had them striking over salary?
No.
So that's a force you're coming up against.
They are in simple terms, they are working for God.
Exactly. So if you understand that this guy's reasoning says it's okay, you can bomb me, that's the only way I go to paradise. So what war are you fighting? The best thing is just go into an agreement with such guys, and it has paid off in Afghanistan. Because at the end of the day, the Americans had to withdraw from Afghanistan because the Afghans, those Taliban told them, it doesn't matter, even if it takes 40 years. We shall fight. So at the end of the day, they were wasting money, wasting troops, wasting time, getting nothing. They had to withdraw. And what did they leave? They said they were taking democracy to Afghanistan. Is there democracy?
No. Not at any one point.
So that's it. They took nothing. So we can say, you remember the restored Bourbons in France? The question we said that they learned nothing and forgot nothing. But like I've told you, every 5 years in the US, there must be a machinery, something to fuel war. So that because war is a business. Have you seen what we call weapons exhibitions by different defense companies?
Yeah, even in Uganda here.
Exactly. So who will buy Uganda's war machinery when there is no war in Congo?
No
Who is
one.
going to order for your no war in Somalia?
No one.
Exactly. So you produce that because you're sure there is a customer, there is a consumer. And the only way the consumer can act is when they are under threat of war. Yes.
So, Honorable, even
military
Iran is
industrial
manufacturing these ammunitions. For how long can they sustain this war if negotiations fail for good?
Who?
Iran.
I think Iran, no one knows, but I don't think it can go on for so long. The same is to the United States. The issue is not about Iran, is that the global markets cannot afford, because we are living in a global village, and oil impacts the entire globe. So it's impossible. Save or fight.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Honorable Sebo Jabale Kosebo, Oma Kweza Dunia. Tusima new service zokola. Mpanga jano mu America nga kubanjala ku
to debate in the America ne badduka aba Trump ne blocking buli muddugavu.
Kati ngenda kugenda kutawulunga trader kuba mulimu gwenkola trading stocks ne other equities. America era kyebayita military industrial complex where
teekayo mu luzungu abaliwo bawulira oluzungu oba otidde.
It's okay. Yeah, where manufacturers ba lobbyists abalobingira companies ezikola ebyokulwanyisa okuli companies nga nyingi ezikola third missiles ezo batuula ne boogera eri ba lawmakers mu Congress nti for example Missouri waliyo plant ezikola B5 bombers ezo nti bwetwabeerawo olutalo tuwa abantu abali ku kyalo eri mu state ya Missouri emirimu, so bo bagira mu ngeri ya job creation. Kati America nebanga Congress ewalizibwa plants zino okubanga teziclosinga zikeeping on to go on and on kiwaliza government yameko kubanga esuubula olutalo lwonna lwalwayisi lutya nga terugikwatako nebeera nga eruyingira kubanga wabeera nga tewaliwo supply ya byakulwanyisa. It means stockpiles zebalina eza mutations eziri mu companies ezo baba tebalina bagenda kubanga bagula bintu ebyo, so plants ziba zigenda closinga. Companies nyingi nnyo ezikola ebyokulwanyisa abantu tulina including Boeing nyingi nnyo nga zimbiddewo ku bifaanako bwe bityo, so kipushinga America okubanga buli kaseera ebaako entalo zekola ki zebayingira. Ate yo forum y'amaanyi nnyo military industrial complex etuula buli ne Congress buli kaseera. Ekirala America mu bajeti yaayo, for example budget esembyeyo yayisa $1 trillion on defense, so sente ezo ziragawa zigenda mu companies zino mu stocks eza companies zino ezikola byonna ebyokulwanyisa. So mugeremu bwendala entalo tezigenda kuggwaawo, era nga nenabbi we yagamba nti omala omulyango bwanaaba omalatiddwa omulyango gwa guguddwa tegenda kuba ngugala paka ekiyama ekiyimirirawo. So entalo tukyaziraba nnyingi nnyo paka nga kikyagenda maaso.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother, for your analysis. Yagamba nti It is a business. War is a business machine.
Honorable
Yes.
thanks nnyo
Yes, sir.
okuba wano ndowooza gwe mulundi gwange ogusoose era weebale kusiiba.
Yes, sir.
Ya manya gange bampita ku Zaifa Sessa nga mpangalira wano e Canada. Naye meetingzeko abantu ababa Iran wano bangi nnyo. Omu yali profesa wange. Naye abantu abo kwegamba batuuka okubanga tibaagala regime yange to the extent they don't want to associate themselves with Islam here. Nti wano tojja genda ng'otoolera buli muntu salaamu olw'okuba olabye ono bamuyita Huzaifa. Some people don't like it actually.
Yes.
Mostly abantu abasinga okukyawa obusiraamu nga bazze wano mu mawanga g'abazungu abantu abava Iran awo. So nange ne bwe nandibadde Trump kuba Iranian be njogedde nabo wano. Teri mu Iran gw'osanga wano n'oyogera naye n'akulaga mbu like baagala regime yaabwe oba ne system engeri gye badde ekola. So ndowooza amagezi g'abalowoozesa nti bwe banajjawo Khamenei ndo kigenda bbanguyira. I think which was a miscalculation. Era nze sinza kublaminga Trump kubanga nange ne nandibadde ngenda Iran kubanga bonna be meetingseeko wano. Ekisooka tibagala kwasoshetinga na busiraamu. Ekyokubiri tibaagalira ddala kuwulira kintu kyonna kikwatagana na ddiini okuva ewaabwe. Leave alone tibashia kubanga n'emizikiti gy'abashia muno mwegiri naye mitono nnyo sigiringa gy'abasunni. Niwe wanku ate nga bangi kuba there are so many Iranians here naddala wano e Canada. Naye n'emizikiti gyabwe si mingi nnyo kwegamba abasigala n'eyo ddiini nti kwegamba baba bacunya nnyo ne babakyaya n'obusiraamu. Like ndowooza amateeka gayitirira kale kama amateeka be gayitirira ndowooza aba gakyaya abantu ate eddiini kubanga nze kyenasula mu ddiini honorable nti bw'okula n'obeera ni independent mind lw'otegeera mbu oba oyagala eddiini yo oba kwegamba okuzaalibwa mu ddiini kigalwa nti nga kubanga ojja gibeeramu ogyagale. Naye bw'okula lojjanga eno mu bazungu like baliving a free life tibalina ddiini tibasula nga basabanga ewaffe tibasula mu night prayer but they you know I mean bali bulungi kati bw'osanga abantu wano saayo nova kusaala talawuya naye bw'osanga omuntu wano nga mutufu yeefirizaawo akadde n'agenda n'asaala oba n'agenda kubanga people live free ate niwe tuba mu muzikiti nga tusaala omuntu n'akola ensobi tusobola muwabula nti nga bino ebya Uganda bye tukola nti okoze booti olina kukola booti batawaza omuntu akulaba n'alaba ng'okola ensobi n'akuyitako gamba nti obulamu bwe butyo nti buli so free. Kati nibwe nandibadde Trump nange ku Bairani abatono benjogedde nabo omutima gwandiŋŋambye bwe njako Ayatollah wajja kubeerawo uprising abantu tubajjeko gavumenti ekitaasoboseze. Kati so honorable kyembadde njagala okubuuza
tuddizeeyo ettaala eyo gisiige ne mu Venezuela kuba nabo kye baamugambanga nti bw'ojjako Maduro eri nga twekalakaasanga egwa kati tuddize ettaala eyo.
Kati honorable kyembadde njagala okubuuza gwa Rodem Politics abantu bano okubanga wano batulaga mbu tibaagala gavumenti nga tibaagalira ddala nebakyaya n'obusiraamu be bantu be bambe nakubiddeko amasimu kuba professor nazemu ni mukubire simu 2 days ago ngate olulimire lwakyuse dda bawagira kati bagamba tulwana mpaka kufiirawo olowooza kino kireeta ki abantu banafusi mitima
professor yakyuse kati atawagira Iran
professor namukubidde jjo nga mwebuusako kubanga nkimanyi tebagala kudiscussinga nnyo politics. Nimugamba professor what's going on how is home nambula bene bigenda maaso nangamba Americans subhanallah but we are winning this war. I'm like professor wangamba Khamenei kubanga oba honorable walabako incident nga aba Iranians bagenda bajjako ezo tabani z'abamanyi baabwe nga abantu to the extent bali babakowanga niwe balaba omuntu nga yeesibye tabani eyo bateekawo campaign era baasiba abantu bangi actually n'abantu bangi be batta mu period eyo. Naye waliwo agambye nti related to Uganda kyekimu ne Uganda kubanga abantu wano babeera bagamba tugenda mujjako tugenda kabanja naye omusajja agenda kula era nga teri so professor nakukubidde ekikulu honorable nkwagala nnyo ate ebintu badde ina bingi ebyokugamba naye professor namukubidde nga mubuuza nimugamba nga njagala kupiikinga his mind kubanga nabadde ndaba ku mawulire ag'enjawulo nga America kye yabadde esuubira after okutta Ayatollah si kye yafunye. So I wanted to kubanga abantu abali mu diaspora bo babeera n'obukyayi bwabwe ku gavumenti obutakyuka kati I wanted to know ye nga ye professor kikyalowooza. Professor nagenza okuddamu mu kubiranga ngamba America is destroying their country kagamba niwankubadde nga ba Iranians babadde bawagira America kiyakoze naye tetokuba oil refineries ate toyonoona makubo kati ate babyonoonye
Honorable, just a second. Yes, I had a similar question in the same line, but it's about what are the American. Can you expound on American interests vis-a-vis the local politicians that are always claiming jango mutujireko simanyi, you know, like, can you expound on that? What is the US interest that these guys cannot understand, and they just you know, they are hoodwinked. Emyaka abiri negiyitawo oyo wa opposition n'agenda nga byakoze byonna byasuubiza nga tewali kyakoze. Can you expound, like, for people to understand the US interest in relation to yeah.
Uzaifa, I want you to understand two things. The Islamic religion, edini y'Obusiraamu, togibawa lwakuba beeru okusinga oba ba Persia oba ba Warabu. Religion is to you. Bintu bingi aba Abawarabu be basinga okunywa omwenge mu nsi nze mbeera nabo kunywa. Otuuka wano e London ku Jewel Road nga bafuwa omwenge naye hypocrisy balimu nti bagambye no togunywera ye Buwarabu. Kakati nze ddiini eyange ne Mungu wange ngimanyi nga bwe ngisoma. Sikola lwakuba Muwarabu yakoze. Abayiraani nabo babanga aba abantu kyenzikanya naawe babanga basibye ku njegere.
Yes.
Bwe basibikula batyo zita bakola buli kyaboonoonyi ky'okola. Kurani egambye nti tetubajjisiza Abawarabu bano mu Luwarabu baali bajeemu nnyo balina emitima emikakali ate nga babi nnyo ate bannanfuusi. Njagala ebyo obimanyi. Era olitakupimiranga ku minzaani nga minzaani gyakuteereddeko nti laba Abawarabu nga bwe bakola. Abawarabu be basinga leesizimu mu nsi muno. Basosoze nnyo ne Kurani yakyogera. Up to today, modern day slavery baji practicing in Libya, slavery against the black people. Mujeko Gaddafi, abadde alwana Africanization, African unity, mutaddewo abasajja bakambwe ennyo batunda abaddugavu mu butale obuli open. Kakati abo nababa Irani olw'okuba n'erinnya nga alina erinnya tugeze Ali tekitegeeza nti Musiraamu ate waddembe bwajja mu America okukyuka. Naye Abayiraani balina ekintu cultural kye balina mu bukumu bwabwe yensi etawambibwangako. Kyova olaba America erina ekintu kyetidde nti bano baggayi beefuula mangu. Era omu ku American analyst yagaye nti kijja kitya abantu bano abali batugamba tulumbe tukube bwe tukubiddewo taxes zisooka ate beefudde ne bagaa nti ate twabagaye mukube ennyo. Ebintu bibiri, ekisooka bo muteyawula relative wo togibuulira naddala mu nkuba ya Israeli style gwe toginyumiza kasita ogigamba nti ku fulaati eno kusulako owenaremu ye bade bwabo opposition ali ku kyalo mu kilomita zonna n'owa Nuupu naye mutwaliramu ebyo tunabinnyonnyola enkya ye nkuba ya Isirayiri. Kakati bano bagenza okuzuula nga bwakuba yesimu bamuga jajjaawo yafudde nti ate kiki tya bomwe tewajiwulidde eyakubye gundi tye yakubye fulaati yonna ne jajjaawo ti ate twali tulowooza essasi teriweta The moment you accept that it's all open war, and you include a nation called Israel, Israel bombs you. If it is looking for one person on a flat in Lebanon that has 700 people, it will bomb the entire complex. Now, the Iranians did not expect this. They thought these guys would go and assassinate leaders like they did. This time, if one leader, let's say, stays on apartments in Kololo, it would not matter even whether your cousin or father is there, they would bomb the entire complex and flatten it. Now, that is how the resentment has started growing. The more the civilian casualties are growing, because remember, these guys have hid under tunnels and caves. The real fighters of Iran, they are not actually dying, other than their leaders that were assassinated. You attack and kill people in a hospital. Now, a hospital, you hit people in ambulances. You hit factory workers based on wrong intelligence. And what I'm hearing, hope I'm hearing the wrong information, that what is happening, they have created double agents in the IRGC who are pretending to send coordinates to the Israeli forces of where the officials of Iran are. And what they are doing, they are actually sending coordinates as our opposition leaders. Obompulira uzaifa. Kati oli yefuula akubira Israeli ng'agira why? Yeah. Wano wennyini naye n'abateerawo wa lubongoya. Kati bo bali bajja bakola ki? Kati bano bagaye bannange. Ate munnaye nga wakubyemu wa gundi. Nga wakubyemu wa ssennyonyi nti sole ffe baatugambye nti buli we bateeka akapapula ka red we wali ababi. Kakati ne bano ne babayingira. What the Iranian regime did was to infiltrate the leadership and create sleeper cells outside to infiltrate the diaspora. Kati diaspora bwejje yahuza ifange mugamba kubira ddala wano ku flat number 2 woba okuba kumba ate wamuweereza we wali foot soldier abadde yeekalakaasa. Kati bano bagenda okulaba nti abasajja ate bakubamu bantu baffe, ate mu lutalo yo Omuyisirayiri tomubuuza ye ebya Solo abigamba afuta bw'aba akugayambye n'agamba ne Solo yakubirawo. Kakati the issue is that era kati amawulire ge twakafunawo nti countries have now approached Iran to talk about the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Kati bukitegedde nti olutalo lugenda kuggwa. Uzaifa okkiriza kati
olutalo lugenda kuggwa.
France French president yakubidde president wa Iran, owa Turkey, owa Russia, n'owa Japan. A high level delegation erabika egenda kwesitula egenda e Iran. A ceasefire very soon. Why? Kubanga Middle East economies ziri wansi. Kakati ono abadde ambuuza nti lwaki aba Iran kugamba omuntu
tulibanja abadde balina business trips ego Dubai naye kati fenna tuli wansi, meaning Dubai is not making money.
Yes, of course. Oyina kyotategedde. Dubai olutalo luno ne bwe lunaasirika flights ne ziggwa egenda kusooka efune abantu nga miliyoni 4 bafulume baveeyo.
Yes.
Do you know what that means for Dubai's hyped summer mu kiseera kino abantu ne bafuluma? UAE has been sold as a safe nation where you can invest in real estate. Do you know what that means? Rebuilding that image. Hosting a global leaders forum. Bakavaawo bali mu kugikomerera nga ki. So this means egenda kudda emabega hugely because it runs on the tourism sector. Now, it has been having a few problems with Saudi Arabia due to the rivalry that is there. It's only going to widen the gap. At the end of the day, UAE economy, though tebagala kyogerako, is going to be so bad, extremely bad. Era abawagira olutalo luno temukyewuunyisa nga batandika okugamba nti musooke muddeko ewammwe kubanga tetulina mirimu. Kuba ogenda kuwala bitanda ki nga batulabisiteba.
Ate ekyanneewuunyisizza lwaki kubigenda mu maaso ate UAE lwaki yakkiriza ne bakozesa ettaka lyo okulumba kano akazinga ke basimbireyo.
Huzaifa, what choice does it have? UAE Dalago, do you think UAE can tell America don't use this base to send this rocket? Does it have that leverage? Also, Iran understands that, and Iran should understand that you understand what I'm saying? How did you accept military? Oba ame ya Uganda nejja nejje uwonga mu neighbor mutakali ne blocking wa Bobi Wine bannange nandi badde na choice kati is a first choice.
Honorable kino kiri ekirala kino kirabbe kiri abit.
The US is losing big. Trump himself is losing big. You know, there has been the digital economy, Germany trade in crypto. The Russians have had a lot of money in UAE. Anyway, UAE is a collection of free money. Even the Iranians trade through the UAE. So it is not in the interest of the Iranians to hurt the GCC. It will be counterproductive. But Iran, Gamba, now I have nothing to lose. I'm drowning. I either hold on to your foot to Kirire Fenna or Oba. A drowning man has no choice. Either give him a floater so Veyo, but you can't say someone that is hitting this person to drown is holding on to your foot. So, who is hell-bent on running this war longer? Now, Huzaifa Chiriche wabuziza nti the Iranians, what is that they have? They have that Iranian pride. Now, the Iranian pride has come back to your professor. Okulaba nti bagenda kufuuka nga colony. Kuba after that, now they realize that the talk is about their oil. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, on that, all Iranians say, wait a second, you said you're going to liberate us, but you're already talking about oil. Because Trump is a free guy. You know what? This is going to be a great deal. Just like Venezuela, we'll control their oil. But you keep the obonna. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the moment he said that we will now control their oil, even the Iranians who were opposing said, wait a second, this is not democracy coming. This is economic what? Dominance.
Exactly. My question, Honorable, what the US interests? The US interests vis-a-vis opposition interests.
No, they are Iranians unite. Of course, there are some selfish ones, like the Shah, who just wants to come back as a monarch. Of course, he has a few supporters here and there, but the Iranians basically would definitely like, not necessarily their regime as it is now, more democracy to vote for the leaders that they want, but no one to control their resources. And I want to be fair. It's a split society, 50-50. But to give them the following options, for them to lose their independence and be under the control of Israel and the US, and to have this regime, they would rather continue with that regime than lose what they call their decency. Kubanga the Persians, ngabwe bali, in their history, they don't want to be humiliated.
Yeah. Honorable.
Yes.
Mbadde nakala katono kenjagala o highlighting ko ndio kenveyo omulala je mbadde nkusaba busabi.
Yeah.
Wayogeddeko ku kigambo kyenkwe naye nze mbeera mu muzikiti awo nga tusaleeta lawuya abasajja ne bayisaamu fi Sudan, fi Palestine, bannange tuwulira kaayogera Iran kati
omuzikiti anti wulira ulira
kamusakabalize ekibuzo kyange
tsunami mujahidini fi kulli makan.
Yes, kati nyina kino fi Palestine fi Sudan fi honorable lwaki njagala kubuuza kino fe kyetwakulire
natademu fi Iran.
Yes, omanyi honorable fe kyetwakulire e Uganda twakula nga situmanyi kiga. In fact abantu banje Uganda bombuuza omushiya kitakimanyi
era ffe tetukyetaaga. We are Muslims, we are neither Shia nor Sunni.
Yes,
we are
kati ekintu ekisinga okuneewuunyisa abasiraamu bannamwe bali mu kubatta. In fact ate bano bwe bayita abashiya be balwanirira abapalestine abasunni naye
n'abazungu be balwanirira abapalestine
bamaseeka baba basaba mutalawu eno afa wakiro omutugano omukwata n'afa naye tasobola kwogera Iran. Omanyi kyajja okugamba
baseeka b'e Kampala batereezezza dda kati yo Iran bagisabira. No, and the reason is very simple. The news we are getting, money banks atugamba nti Dubai airport era ebadde attacked. Katuwulirize kuba video eyo bona musobodo tuwa ku mawulire. That's very unfortunate. It's not something that we would like to see. We really sympathize with the people of the UAE. I don't think civilian infrastructure should be attacked. And I think Iran should restrict even to its responses, not to the airports. But because that's civilians, whether even if they're Americans or not, they're using it to exit the country or to enter the country. So it hurts the entire global economy. But it should restrict itself. If it says to the bases, then attack the bases. But I think it's looking for weak spots, a watery air defense. But that's not for me. So yeah, your freedom abantu balowooza mu Uganda temuli freedom oba mu nsenda. Omumerika omugamba nti ono kyogerako obwogezi mu UAE bajja musiba. Takikkiriza nakikkiriza. But what am I trying to say? Of course, after the death of the Prophet teyatulekerawo Sunni or Shia, and you must know that. There were two fusions. One, the Prophet was a political leader and a religious leader, plus the head of the judiciary of Islam.
Yeah.
So when he passed on, there was a vacuum. And definitely, struggle for who would lead. Prophet teyalekawo ani gwe yalamira kulembera. Naye buli omu swahaba yamuwa attribute eyiye. Shura bwatuula olukiiko lw'abamanyi olw'abakungu abakulu abaali e Madina mu kiseera ekyo ne balonda Abubakar Bisidiiki. Waliwo abataamatira. Kitegeeza omuyina okuvaamu opposition naturally buli bwe mugenda mu kalulu wafaayo ki?
Opposition.
Abatamatidde bano baagamba naye nga mulonze ali taliiwo. Naye nga nabbi yaga nti of course wabaawo omuntu omukkiriza ennyo ow'amazima ennyo ya Abubakar. N'agamba Uthman obukkiriza abo bwaggulu. Umar singa wali baddewo nabbi omulala ajja yandibadde is extremely brave man. Naye ate ali bwemba kibuga kyakumanya kyekisumuluzo. Kati obuzibu we bajjira kati Uzaifa w'ebiseera ebyaga nti nedda leka bw'aba nabbi avuddewo nga twali tutambulira kumanya nti ye ffe tugamba ali alina okukola ki entego gikwatamu. Kaakati nga waliwo abaga nti nedda leka muganda wange Abubakari alina okukola ki ogikwatamu. For you to better understand the history around this, see how all these leaders died. Of course, Abubakar died peacefully. Umar was killed in Ali Muswara. That should tell you the opposition had now started to grow.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Osibyo tya.
Ojiro mutinga coffee time.
Okay.
Umaru yatibwa butibwa nga asala. Bwe bagenda mu ntalo the conquest of Mecca, now having moved on to conquer areas like Spain and other areas, Iraq ne walala. Of course, abamanyi b'eddiini baafa bangi. Uthman bin Affan n'abatuuza n'abagamba Qur'ani eno nti newankubadde bw'eri kitabo naye tukikompiringe tukole omushafu. Eno Qur'ani gye tusoma olwaleero. Omushafu ogwasooka tegwaliko na bino Fataha, Kasida n'ebirala. Naye ne basooka ne bakuŋŋaanya bakifuula ekitabo kuba abamanyi baali bakola ki? Bafiira mu ntalo z'eddiini abaali bagikutte mu mutwe. Preservation of the Quran. Uthman bwe yajja mutunulire entalo ezaddirira ate zaali z'amawanga. Mubba Abawarabu ebintu byennyini Nabbi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam bye yali abaga nti temwetunulako lw'amawanga gamu nga kati tebeesosola nga bagamba nedda Uthman newankubadde mu Quraish naye si Banu Hashim, Banu Umayyad zava mu kika kirala. Naye ng'ate naye alina abawagizi ba Umayyad. Abasajja eno ba Imani Kaali kuva dda ba Imani Kaali abo baaliwo abasajja abatemu. Ekintu kino njagala mukikkirize, baalingawo abasajja bano ne bajja ne batemaatema Uthman nga bamulanga ekintu eki nti Nabbi yaleka takuŋŋaanyiza Qur'ani giwandiika mu kitabo. Ng'ogiwandiikamu otya ki?
Kansubire ba Imani Kaali bali following a history, because it is very important.
Yeah, the reality, this is the reality. Ne bamutemaatema, bamutemaatema. Ne bamutta ng'amaze n'okusiibulukuka. So I want you to understand, divisions zino ziriwa. Awo tewaaliwo Musunni, tewaaliwo Mushia. Kaakati Uthman bw'avaawo kati bagamba obukulembeze budda waani. Waaliwo Ali nga yasigaddewo kubali baswahaba Nabbi be yayogerako ba close companions be. Naye Ali baali bamaze omuwaŋŋangusa. Ali mukoddomi wa Nabbi, kazini we yalina bazzukulu be ne muwala we yamuwasa Fatuma. Entabwe yonna evaako ekigambo ekyo kyonna. Ali bwadduka nga bano baagala omutta ba Umayyad yasibira Iraka. Abaamubudamya eyo ku River Euphrates be muwulira. Abamuga nti antum shi'atuna hunaka nti ffe basseyaaba abeeno. Ffe katukubudamye. Ne babudamya Ali. Bo nga baga nti Ali baamulyaza amaanya. Kaakati bo bagamba Uzaifa wenyipini katono. Nga bo bamugamba Ali radhiyallahu anhu nti bo tebajja kukkiriza mu hadisi yonna ndala okuggyako ng'evudde mu Ali oba mu nnyumba ya Nabbi bantu be Ali, abaana be Hasan ne Huseini, oba mu Fatuma radhiyallahu anha. Awo bajjamu olutalo wakati wa ttiimu ya Ali ne ttiimu ya Aisha gye muwulire yayitibwa Fitina period. Fitina period. They fought. And the issue, what were they fighting for? All of them were not fighting for religion. They were fighting for who controls the political power. Because none of them had changed the following. One, Muslims were still all saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ana Muhammad Abdullah Rasulullah. We are still saying the same Shahada. Two, all Muslims were reciting the same Quran. Three, all Muslims still did fasting, observed fasting. They were praying 5 times a day and they were performing Hajj. So the issue was never the divergence on the principles of religion, of Quran. The issue was about political leadership. It is the desire for the worldly things that have led to this disintegration. That is why an ordinary Muslim who receives Islam just goes and reads the Quran. They are not interested in you telling them where they are Shia or Sufi or Sunni. No, they want to do Shahada, pray 5 times a day, pay Zakah. Because what has the Quran talked about the good doers? Muhsinin. Alladhina yukimuna salat wa yu'tu zakat. 2 things. Muyimirize we swala, muwene zaka. Ejjane balindiridde. So, the pillars of Islam, bonna observing. The pillars of faith, bonna observing. Do they believe in God's angels, in the books that were revealed by God, etc.? Badifalingirawa ani ankulembera. Abashiya bagamba nti ebyo basahaba bamwe be mwalonda Abubakari ne gundi totawaana akakalulu nga bwe nkugambye opposition bole bagaa tukivuddemu ffe tuli baali. Era bw'otuula nabo ne bakunnyonnyola ne bakubuuza nti kale tuganye mutugamba tuli babi. Kye mugamba nti tuli babi okubanga tugamba nti abaayiwa omusaayi gw'abazzukulu ba Nnabbi ne babatemaatema be baali abatuufu.
Exactly, nange ekyo bakigamba.
As simple as that. They only pose one question. And the question has come back to be answered today. Who are the people that are engaged in the defense of the Muslim people all over the world? Is it those that prophesy to be Sunni or those that prophesy to be Shia?
Ona waliwo ekibuuzo kya Hasani wano alina kyabuuza oba osobola okiraba.
So nja kumubuulira kakati kino bwe kijjamu bo ne batandika okuteekawo obukulembeze nga nammwe bwe Nabbi Muhammad teyalekawo baamufuti tebaliiwo nabo ne bateekawo Grand Mufti of Makkah, Grand Mufti of Gun, nabo ne bateekawo abaabwe. Naye bw'ogenda mu Organization of Islamic Countries, Iran togisangayo. Uzaifa. Jeri. Bahrain togisangayo.
Jeri.
70% of the people in Bahrain are Shia. Nekatibano, the only way they have to protect these kingdoms by no kutera wekitiisa. Nti kubane bano tebabalonda kati abantu bali batandika okwemamaaza nga bababuuza nti naye mmwe gwokuwa obwahole custodian obw'emizikiti ebiri gwani yakulonda gwosinga okumanya eddiini ekyo n'okibuuza mu Saudi Arabia oba ogenzi. Era bo aya gye basooka okusomera teeka ekitiibwa mu Allah mu mubaka we ne mukulembeze obuliwo bo tebakukkiriza kwogera bukulembeze bukola ki buliwo. Era eyo tokkirizibwa kwekalakaasa. Abeekalakaasaako mu Arab Spring baabayisaamu eggaali naye kaakati be bali mu kugamba nti Amerika ekola kituufu okugenda mu Iran kubanga Iran yagambye abeekalakaasa nga nno mu Iran waliyo n'okulonda. Mu Iran eriyo okulonda. Eno teriyo kulonda. Njagala mbuulire oba kuba bukubi kifaananyi awo musango n'okiteekayo wano abadde Dubai bagayonale wano sikkirizibwa yadde kwata kifaananyi we baakubye. So is America the question, the biggest question? Is it exporting democracy or for it is about its economic interests? The answer is it's about its economic interests, and the only way it can achieve them, you must continue to divide the Muslims and the Arabs based on the following. One, the Sunni who is a Muslim and the Shia who is a Muslim and the Sufi who is a Muslim must start hating each other. The principle of imperialism and colonization was always based on divide and rule. So they must force you to be at war. Because if Saudi Arabia is not at virtual war with Iran, then who would buy the American weapons? Who would pay for American stocks? It's a simple logic and common sense. From time immemorial, the principle of imperialism is based on one principle: make sure they do not unite. When it comes to even the Sunni themselves, they will force them not to unite. They will say one is extreme, and they'll say this one is Muslim Brotherhood. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, Tabliki.
So, is Muslim Brotherhood Shia or Sunni? They are all Sunni, but they must be divided. Because these Muslim Brotherhoods have a communist approach of saying to govern FNM mukunganya sente tuzimba amalwaliro. Bagamba bano banagula batya stocks za America. Tubagamba ribanedda. Whenever you hit the issue of interest and debts, you're hitting the very principal foundation of the Western so-called civilization that is based on making people indebted, strong people becoming money lenders, the sole owners of capital, and others working for them, what we call the big corporations. How do the big corporations run those economies, including Canada? They do the following. They own banks, they force you to take credit, they run